So one of my big challenges is describing TNA wrestling to my non-wrestling friends and family. They know I like TNA because they see me wearing the TNA hoodies, the TNA shirts, rocking the TNA merchandise, always talking about TNA, so they know I'm a TNA fan. And they know it has something to do with combat sports, or that's what they think. So when they start talking to me, they ask me some silly questions like, "Is TNA wrestling real?" Because they know I don't like WWE, so they assume I don't like WWE because it's fake, and I must like TNA wrestling because it's real. And I say, well, in some ways that's true. You know, the storylines in TNA are much more real, but the scripted nature is all the same. Mike Santana story of overcoming his demons and rising to the top from the bottom is a true story, but it's still in the scripted world of professional wrestling. So to hear a person say, "Is TNA real?" is kind of comical. I personally kept coming back to TNA because I was hooked from the beginning when I went to the first TNA show and they started chanting TNA, TNA with this thing called the X Division. The X Division is so phenomenal, and it was back then. Low Key, Amazing Red, AJ Styles. The list goes on and on and on. The Spanish announce team. The list goes on and on. And the things you see in the X Division didn't seem to line up with what reality said a human being should be able to do. Flying through the air, slamming into another wrestler's face. AJ Styles sliding under the guardrails, not going over the guardrails, sliding under the guardrails. I never forget, this is not X Division, but when he wrestled a Biz in that lockdown match and that steel cage door hit him in the face, that seemed real. And no, I don't think it was actually real, but it seemed real in the moment. Like, that really must have hurt. These are the things that make me love TNA wrestling because they have so many of these that must have hurt moments. That must have really been bad. That had to hurt. So many unbelievable moments, like when at AJ Styles at Lockdown when he hung from the rafters and he jumped on from a ladder, climbed to a ladder on top of a steel cage, and jumped down from the rafters to the top of the steel cage through a table. And everybody thought, well, what if the table breaks? He's going to keep going. He's going to keep going through the cage. He didn't keep going through the cage, but that was what you thought could happen. It was real in the moment that he could die. The reason why TNA still matters to me today is because I see the potential. I see that Mike Santana's chase for the World Heavyweight title could lead to one of the best stories ever told in TNA wrestling. I see TNA potentially getting on AMC or the CW network being the biggest highlights in the company's history, surpassing everything they've done with Spike TV, their highest point in TNA history. I think they can surpass that. I don't think that their best day is behind them. I think their best day is still ahead of them. That inspires me to continue to support TNA wrestling. I love TNA, and my fan experience with them is always exciting, and being a TNA fan is fun because people wonder, what the hell is TNA? Well, it's the best thing since sliced bread. Anyways, those are just some of my thoughts. I'm Kent Jones. I'm signing off. Of course, subscribe, like, and ring that bell for notifications. I really would appreciate it.